When I have my hair out like this, they're like, oh, beautiful, da, 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 da. They're trying to hit on me. Oh, bro, you got $1? Bro, you got $1? I went to an all boys, all white Catholic high school. You want to know what they were talking about every Monday morning? They were high-fiving each other up because they were having fun at a party where they essentially raped a girl. Why are we giving that much power to Trump? Search up just the word trans on Google, and the only thing you see is Trump. I'm not Trump. Why are we gonna let one individual break our spirit? America specifically loves to do band-aid solutions, and I think that's a problem. America's not gonna get anywhere. Is that it's not just, oh, like, I'm gonna push you, I'm gonna call you a name. White supremacy works differently for people like us. It tries to destroy our spirit. More action and less panic. And I think that's something I'm directing specifically towards trans people. Corporations, these governments, they do not care about women. They're using this as an opportunity to have cis women go against trans women.
Hi, this is Ritash from India. I am a gender fluid panromantic ace with invisible disabilities. I'm also neurodivergent queer. And we have Reina Taina, an indigenous non-binary trans woman from the US. Reina is a podcaster and a musician and also a mental health support provider, which is also part of my work. And right now, we are going to talk about, the US President Donald Trump just couple of days ago on 20th January 2025, as he was inaugurated or rather sworn in, okay, he passed or rather signed into, effect an executive order or a presidential action as it is called, which recognizes only the female and the male as two biological sexes, which completely revokes, rescinds, and rolls back all affirmative action and provisions and fundamental rights of trans, non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer people in the US with immediate effect. Of course, this also directly impacts intersex people. Intersex people are, born with intersex variants, which can be chromosomal and also, biological, hormonal. But they usually, unless they choose to, intersex people, in some countries, you can register them as intersex right at birth. Need not be male, female. There is no gender assigned at birth. In some countries, even give the choice of not specifying anything. Okay. So that's, and intersex people form at least 1.7 of the global percent of the global population. So with all this in mind, Reina, I would directly ask you, as a fellow community member, despite sitting in another country, we know India and US are the two world's largest democracies, take pride in saying, we are based on a very sound and a very inclusive, non-discriminatory, not just the constitution, but in every walk of life. But this executive order, from Donald Trump was anticipated. In fact, the American Civil Liberties Union had put a detailed analysis even as Trump was still campaigning, because this was one of the major campaign promises. And, this is not the first time he's done it. Even during his previous presidency, 2017 to 2021, he has done it. So, painful as it may be, and we all hold each other in this very terrible, very outrageous, very, painful moments. Okay. what would you, as a person who's living there as an American citizen, and of course, most importantly, as an indigenous non-binary trans person who provides very necessary community support, but is also affected, what are your thoughts? How do you feel?
It's so complicated, but it really all goes back to Quisqueya. It goes back to colonization, and Quisqueya is the original name of Dominican Republic in Haiti, or Hispaniola, as some people know it as. And it's understanding that when the Spaniards came to this side of the world, to Turtle Island, which is the original name of the entire North and South America, is Turtle Island. When they came here, they brought with them Christianity and all these binary views that exist in their areas. And that's something that we really need to understand, because that's where this all starts, specifically when we're talking about Turtle Island. So it's just centuries and centuries and centuries of conforming into these two boxes. So for me, when I see Donald Trump talking about there's only two genders, this time the third, I'm not surprised. It's expected. And I think also, like, something that I am trying to push for now is for more action and less panic. And I think that's something I'm directing specifically towards trans people and non-binary people, especially trans and non-binary people of color. We need to understand that the way that white supremacy works, specifically when it's directed at us, is that it's not just, oh, like, I'm gonna push you or I'm gonna call you a name. White supremacy works differently for people like us. It tries to destroy our spirit. And I think that's something that we forget. It destroys our spirit. It's not just physical, it's not just sexual trauma, it's deeper than that. And we all know that because we feel it. It's a spiritual breaking. And that's something that is all the more reason to combat against all of it and to continue to act, because what is the spirit is what we're doing right now, is having a conversation about transness, is continuing the visibility. Yeah, it's this communication that we're doing here, this dialogue, and us continuing to live in our transness. That's the big focus. And that's something that I say is the big takeaway here. There's a lot of panic in the United States right now. There's a lot of, oppression in different ways happening. And something that I really want to see more of within our community is community and strength and joy. I think that's something that's really, really important. And, it's easier said than done. But at the same time, like, when we're looking at Black American history, when we're looking at Indigenous American history, we've been through hell and back, but we're still here. So why are we gonna let one individual break our spirit? We've made it through 500, 600 years and we're still here. So that's why I always tell people, it's just like, yes, we have to be aware of what's happening, but at the same time, I want us to think in transness and think in all the dimensions and all the perspectives. Because it's like, yes, this is happening, but when you zoom out, we see that Rome lasted for over 600 years and they fell. The Moorish empires lasted for 800 years and they're done. Alexander the Great had how many parts of the world, and now he doesn't? When was the last time we ever heard someone bring up, oh, Alexander the Great? Yeah, I love that person. No one even thinks about that individual. So why are we giving that much power to Trump? And I think that's the bigger takeaway here, is that it's upsetting that when today AJ, my brother, he went to go search up just the word trans on Google, and the only thing you see is Trump. I'm not Trump. I'm a trans woman. I'm trans. I want to talk about me. I want to talk about my culture. Why are we talking about Trump? And I think that's the problem, because the point of this confusion is to bring about visibility. It's to, okay, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. So let's learn about it. Let's understand it, because understanding is how we're going to find the peace and we're not going to have that panic.
How do you think, we are going to be able to manage that? Because though we may say, oh, it's not in India, we know that globally, considering how many of us also still value Stonewall, whatever it is turned out to be, the Stonewall Rebellion for queer trans rights. Okay. So, which of course originated in New York. Uh, How do you think, and what is your role going to be, your role of people like you going to be, in handling this, in obviously, calming people down, first of all?
No, yeah, that's a great question. And I think what I'm approaching it through a trauma informed perspective. And I think that's something that's really important because everyone experiences trauma in different ways, regardless of gender and sexuality. And that's something that when we're talking about, bigger pictures and having dialogues with non-queer, non-trans people, this is where we can build that bridge as well when we're talking about trauma. And I think what's really important too, in terms of my personal experiences, me learning and healing through my trauma has also given me the capacity to be the better version that I want to be for myself, but also have this capacity to help others and continue this role and responsibility. Because I think at the end of the day, this is something that a lot of people don't want to hear. But at the end of the day, we all decided to be a global society. So we're a global society now. That's it. There's no going back. So this whole mentality of, oh, we're gonna do this only thing here and this only that, it doesn't, no, you know what I mean? We're gonna have our own nations, but even our own nations are so heavily integrated and so diverse. So whether we like it or not, this is a global society. And I think that's very, very important to take away, because we're trying to solve these issues, especially in the United States, in a very pink washy type of way, where it's yes, I understand, let's do the hotlines, let's get people therapists and stuff. But it's just it's not, it's a lot of America specifically loves to do band-aid solutions. And I think that's a problem. America's not going to get anywhere because we love doing the band-aid solutions. And yes, I understand there's fires we have to put out right now. But if we continue to only put out those fires, we're going to be doing this for centuries. You know what I mean? That's something else that we have to strategize. And it's also figuring out who has the capacity to do what, right? Like you mentioned, there's some folks that they can't even think how I'm thinking right now. They just don't have the capacity. And it's that's when people like me have to step in and, make spaces more trauma informed and more considerate. And that's a really, really big thing, because what I learned as a trans woman walking through every single space is that it's not only that folks are not trauma informed, but people are not listening and people are not seeing. We have eyes and ears, but we do not use it at all. And a perfect example is the following. When I go outside, there's usually a bunch of guys chilling there and they're always talking to people, whatever. When I have my hair out like this, they're like, oh, beautiful, da, 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 da. They're trying to hit on me. But then I have my hair up in my bonnet and you can't see my hair anymore. You just see my face. What do they say? Oh, bro, you got $1? Bro, you got $1? And it's just you were literally checking me out yesterday. And I was wearing the same jacket. That's what made me laugh, Ritash. It's the winter over here. So all you see is my face and my outfit. And I was wearing the exact same jacket that covered me all the way to my knees. And you're still going to bro me. You know what I mean? And it's just it's not even transphobia. It's that you're not even listening. You're not even seeing the world that you're living in. That's the thing. We need to also stop leaning so much on these politicians and all these other people. Yes, they're there, but we also need to do our own work while they're doing their work. It can't be, everyone has to put in their work in some way. That's the solution. We need to listen. We need to see. We need to talk to each other. There's nothing else. It's not war. It's not rock, paper, scissors. It's not let's build an AI robot. No, it's sitting down, circle, talking, and listening. That's it.
Is there something we in India and maybe say the marginalized intersectional queer trans people say in UK or other countries, say Europe or the so-called bigger democracies, the stabler ones? Is there something we can do proactively, regarding this, apart from, of course, being with you all together? And as you said, it's not about you and us, it's us all together, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think these major democracies actually have to act like democracies, and they need to give the power to the people 100% and let the people decide. And also with that, I also encourage there to be more investment in education and research. I think it's very alarming that that is not the largest budget in most nations. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like research and development should be number one in where we're investing all of our money in. Because with research and development, we improve our healthcare, our tech industry, we improve our schools, we improve society, the economy. So yeah, and that's something that's really important. I think we need to one give power to the people and absolutely improve education, because it's one thing to, for example, like what they're doing now is they're saying, oh yeah, we're giving power to the people for America, for example. But while they're doing that, they're saying microaggressions, they're doing all these things. So it's like, no. Give it to me how it is, and then I'll decide what I want to do with that. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. They give us a democracy and then they give us a list of how we can use it. That's not how democracy works. You give it to me and I decide how I want to use it. So I think that's something that's really important, is that the folks in these, Western nations and these developed nations, they need to demand 100% to have that power. Like a lot of this power that these governments have, they should not have it, because again, it's those things benefit the people. So why are you guys making that decision? And then again, we can argue that, we appointed them, but at the end of the day, that doesn't do anything.
Despite the contempt of court kind of provisions, many times, unfortunately, the law is not taken 100% seriously, especially by people who are themselves, whatever, senators, legislators, congress people, who are actually trying to change things in their favor or those who favor them. With the current dispensation in India and the US, of course, we are only going to perhaps lose more fundamental rights. But I think I'm also hearing you say that, well, many things were like this and much worse for hundreds of years, and hundreds of years ago we survived, we bypassed, surpassed all that, right? So, yeah, saying that gender extremism is going to be sort of overturned and they are going to protect the rights of women, which is really strange considering the country already has gone back so much on abortion rights, and, also that women can be queer trans themselves, yeah, but still call themselves women. So many trans women, binary or whoever, like to call themselves women. So what are they even doing? Fundamentally changing the definition of women? Do they even understand that, women are so much part of our community, our support network, except for, a few here and there, right? Yeah. So what would you think of it? As you said, like, I also just cannot help laughing at the ludicrousness of this whole thing about protecting women by being anti-trans, right? Effectively, that's what it is reduced to. How would you respond to that?
No, it's laughable, because you and I both know they don't care about women. None of these nations care about women. Let's say it for what it is. These corporations, these governments, they do not care about women. They're using this as an opportunity to have cis women go against trans women. That's one. And let's say it for what it is. I grew up, unfortunately, in a lot of domestic violence, and I've seen a lot of stuff. And if we're just talking about white men specifically, that's laughable. Because white men are the ones that beat their wives the most in this country. I'm not even playing. Yeah. It's the truth. They're always alcoholics, left and right. We have one of the highest DUIs in like the world. Like everyone gets into a DUI, like everyone here, because everyone's drinking and driving like it's nothing. So it's like, you don't care about women. Like, I'm not even gonna bring up the fact that they got rid of abortion. You don't care about women. Unfortunately, I went to an all boys, all white Catholic high school. You want to know what they were talking about every Monday morning? They were high-fiving each other up because they were having fun at a party where they essentially raped a girl. And they said, yeah, it was so much fun. And I was forced to hear that for 4 years, every Monday morning, because somebody was having a nice little big party in their mansion because their mom's away in international, whatever. That's the reality. And those boys, guess what? Their parents gave those victims hush money. And you know where those boys are now? They already graduated from the Ivy Leagues. Oh yeah. They got committed for wrestling, for football in Stanford, wrestling at the University of Pennsylvania. And guess what else? Trump graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. So you know what I mean? Like, you don't care about women. You don't, because if you're a 13-year-old and you're talking like that, saying that she wanted it, that it was a great time, that you and your boys
Hello?
were there, are you kidding me? You don't care about women. You don't. And that's the thing. And I really want people to be smart. Like, stop taking everything that you see at face value. Stop. Like, people see it in the internet and they're like, yes, it's true. It's like, that's the problem, guys. Like, you need to see yourself as your own individual person and understand that you have your own brain and you need to make your own deductions, your own experimentations, your own research and investigation. You can't just take everything as it is. You know, that's why in my work, I try my best to always cite my sources. I always share that in my websites as well, because I don't just want people to stop with me. Like, you hear something that's interesting or something that you may want to go against with, go search it up. And then if you disagree, hit me up, tell me, and let's have that conversation, because that's the point. So yeah, all in all, like, that it's going to be very interesting to see. As we know, with just linguistics, words change over time. They change even within decades. So it's just going to be very interesting to see that, because I feel like there's going to be kind of like a double consciousness in the world, where there's this, let's call it Barbie Ken doll mentality, and then there's like what the world is actually supposed to be. And like, these two worlds are honestly gonna exist for a very long time, because they're really trying to keep this materialism world alive. Like, Barbie wants to stay. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. Actually, that's a very, not just positive, but a very inspiring, a very uplifting thing to hear. Yeah, it's easier said than done. As you said, you are not downplaying anybody's. I mean, we've all been living with trauma and self suppression for so long. So, but having said that, I think it gives me individually, and also, many of us here collectively, hope, and what some queer trans joy amidst everything that's happening. We are people who have been resilient,
Yeah.
and we rise to
And I think,
end with what.
yeah, we need to remember that our power doesn't only lie in those courtrooms. You know, like, I encourage everyone in India, queer and trans, to like use their music, use your dances, and dance right in front of the courtrooms, right in front of the governments. It's like, okay, you don't want to hear us inside, you're gonna hear us outside. You know, like, that's how we need to do it. Because at the end of the day, if God forbid something happens and you're doing something horrible to someone who's just dancing, guess what the world sees? That.
Right.
That's what we want to think about. Obviously, like, we don't want bad things to happen, but at the end of the day, that is exactly the foundation of queer and trans, is joy and love. And despite everything that's happening, the world could be on fire, we're still gonna dance and have a good time, because that's just who we are. And I think that's something that we should take away with during these 4 years.